Inside Whoopi Goldberg's and Fox News Judge Jeanine Pirro's View dust-up. Superhero fanboys and fangirls hit San Diego for ComicCon. But back here in LA, why was Hollywood on a firing spree this week? Plus, Roseanne Unhinged again? All that and more on Meet the Hollywood Press for Sunday, June 22nd, 2018. I'm Mackenzie Fain, filling in for Alina Vission. And now, your host of Meet the Hollywood Press, Joseph Kapsch.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Meet the Hollywood Press. Mackenzie, thank you for that wonderful opening.
You're so welcome.
And welcome, Mackenzie, to the show. Mackenzie, tell people a little bit about yourself. You're filling in for Alina. You did a fabulous job.
Thank you so much. I have been working at AfterBuzz here for since I was 17 years old. Nice. So done a lot of shows and super excited to be here with you guys today. It's such a great show. I sat in last time and it was amazing. So.
Great. We welcome you. Thank you for doing that.
You.
And we have got a lot to cover. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my panel today. Joining us at the Meet the Hollywood Press table is Marc Malkin.
Hi.
Viewers will probably know Marc. You're probably one of the most recognizable faces on the red carpet by this point, I would say, Marc. You're going to be modest about it.
My mom thinks so.
Marc has spent many years working for E! You were with Entertainment Tonight for a period of time, and he's currently freelancing, doing your own thing, Marc Malkin, on Facebook, and writing for Hollywood Reporter and Architectural Digest. Thank you for taking time to speak with us today. And returning to Meet the Hollywood Press by popular demand. Lots of positive feedback. Anita Bennett, who is the managing editor and creator of Urban Hollywood 411. Correct. And you're killing it over there with exclusives. I should tell people. She just launched it, people. Check it out. Seriously, Urban Hollywood 411. She's got some good dish on there. She also spent some time at LA Daily News in editor positions, KTLA News you worked at, and also TheWrap.
TheWrap, that's right.
Welcome for coming back.
Thank you.
Okay, are we ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay. So, starting with the View dust-up. Oh my God. I mean, I'm living for the fact I get to talk about The View in a show inspired by The View, like every other panel.
But I just love the fact that The View is still going strong.
Oh my God.
Every once in a while they have these dust-ups.
Yes, it's getting better. Yeah. For those of you who maybe don't know, I don't know how you wouldn't hit everywhere on the internet, Whoopi Goldberg, the moderator of The View, they had Fox News' Judge Jeanine Pirro on this week. She was promoting a new book of hers, and obviously they're discussing politics, and the two of them, started to get into it. Of the epic proportion, maybe I'd say almost where Rosie O'Donnell and the split screen. Do we think it got to that point, the split screen with Rosie and Elizabeth? On the border of it.
Whoopi Goldberg, she had this.
She did.
Yeah, she had it.
She had it on lock. well, the thing that actually really provoked it, though, was the word Trump derangement syndrome. That sent it off when basically Whoopi, we're going to actually roll a clip right now, and then we'll come back to this discussion. Okay. So go ahead. Okay.
So, yeah, it was a cordial conversation. Well, first of all, you know when you bring Judge Jeanine Pirro on a left-leaning show, there will be sparks.
Yeah.
I mean, and Jeanine knew that going in there, too. You're not going on The View going, I'm going to convert them to Fox News fans.
Yeah. Well, that's what brings me to my first question about this. Do you guys, as media, feel that it's not doing a service by, like, a viewer, wouldn't you say is more left-leaning? It's female, it's more left-leaning, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So I know that we need to have these conversations, but we need to have them civilized. What I think those fights do for the discourse in the country at large is make it worse. But that's my opinion. What do you feel about that? Start, Indian, and then I want to hear you, Marc.
I think they do make it worse. However, there was a reason for having her on this show. The fact that we're talking about it, that America was talking about it, the video has generated millions of views.
Yes.
You don't get that if you just bring on people who cater to the left-leaning base. So there was a reason behind her booking.
Got it. Marc, what do you think?
I mean, and also on the show that there was Ana Navarro.
Yeah.
I mean,
who needs her own show,
Well,
please.
the other day I tweeted she needs to be a judge on RuPaul's Drag Race. But,
Yes.
I mean, she's just, you're going to put her on the show with Jeanine Pirro, you know there's going to be fireworks. If you don't know who Ana Navarro is, she's a longtime Republican Politico, but has been very, very against Trump from the very beginning. She's one of the few diehard Republicans that speaks out against him in very blunt and harsh language. So, you know, Jeanine Pirro, they're no fans of each other.
They're not fans, and that's where, if you read some of the reporting after the fact of like the behind the scenes, I think Whoopi even said it in her video, which, by the way, do we have the clip up, guys? Let's roll a little bit of this, Whoopi, and then we'll come back to this.
What happened? So there's a lot of spin that she's doing, and I can't do anything about that, but I can tell you what went on. She was upset when she got here because Ana Navarro was here instead of Joy. And after the segment, which ended when it was supposed to, it was not early, it was not late, it ended when it was supposed to, she then called everybody at the table a name I cannot repeat on TV and said it in front of the audience. When I came off stage, I went over there because I was a little hot. Okay, so I went to calm down. She came off, she could have just passed me. She didn't need to stop, but she stopped and put her finger in my face and yelled, "I've done more for victims than you ever will." Then I said to her some few choice words I cannot repeat. Yes, I did say it. I did say it. But I did not spit on her. I did not intimidate her. No one chased her out of here saying, "Get out." But she did leave here cursing at the people who booked the show. She cursed at the guys who do the security for the show. So I did say to her in the middle of all this, "You and I have never had a problem before." You know, and then I had to go back to work to finish the show, which should tell you none of us were chasing her because we still had another segment to do. So for 20 years, the show has always had people on with different views, like Newt Gingrich, Corey Lewandowski, Charlotte Pence, Sarah Sanders, Trey Gowdy, Dana Perino, Jenna and Barbara Bush, Jeanine. Good luck with your book. I hear it's #1. I preferred your last book about Robert Durst, but there's no accounting for taste, you know? I like the book. I like the last book. So that's what happened, and I suspect this is...
So coming back in from that, she's explaining, because basically what the viewers that don't know, there's been all the articles after the fact reporting what actually or the versions of what happened, and then Jeanine Pirro spoke to Hannity immediately, the day before or the night of, and told her at night and told her version. So my question is, what do you feel like going back to this question of the liberal versus conservative media? Are these kind of public feuds between media personalities doing us any favors?
They're not doing us any favors, but again, was this really a feud or was it staged on Jeanine's part? Because the conversation was cordial until she mentioned Trump derangement syndrome and pointed at Whoopi.
Yes.
And then Whoopi said, "Are you pointing at me?" And that's what sparked the blowout. So Jeanine knew exactly what she was doing, and she's already put out a statement saying, "Hey, thanks, my book is number one."
My book is number one.
Exactly.
So you think she's that, Mark? Do you think she's that intelligent and strategic to have staged that?
She's completely strategic.
Okay.
Did she say before she's going on the show, "Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get to this point"? I don't think so, but she knew there was going to be a fight. She knew that it would be heated. She knew she'd be able to go on Hannity later on and give her own version of what's going on. And I just love the fact that what happens on The View never stays on The View.
No.
It's the biggest, it's more leaky than the Trump White House.
Oh my God, all over the place. From when Rosie was there, from when
Everywhere.
all through it. You know everything. Producer, inside or close to the show. So last night, Judge Jeanine her show airs Saturdays on Fox News, and so let's run a little clip of her sort of a piece of her rebuttal to the whole thing.
Of what's going on in this country. The level of hatred toward the 45th president of the United States is beyond anything we've seen in American history. He was once an icon, sought after for movies, television, by politicians on both sides of the aisle, sports figures, and yes, even the media. Then he ran for president. Now Donald Trump is the target of vitriol so palpable, it's simply frightening, and reason has become irrelevant. Okay. We can't have conversations anymore, and the ripple is national in scope.
Coming back in. Mark, what do you think of
Okay, Donald Trump was never an icon, first of all. He wasn't wanted for movies. He was on like, what was it, like Home Alone 3?
Yes.
Yes, he had a huge success with The Apprentice. I will give him that, but he was not an icon. He's always been looked at as a failed businessman. I mean, there was never an idea that he was this great businessman. And for her to say, I can't believe how much people hate him. This is a man who started his campaign off by calling Mexicans rapists and drug dealers. He started the hate. I'm sorry, so that's my feelings.
But in the context of her just telling the whole Whoopi side of it, like, what I feel though, whereas I want to ask this because there's this sort of a negative stereotype where people will say angry black women, like the whole Shonda Rhimes, remember that big dust up about that when they called her that. Do you think that by Jeanine, just how she was so docile in her delivery, I almost feel that I just wish Whoopi hadn't got as heated, because I do think that when you're in an argument, the person sort of that remains calmer, Mackenzie's shaking her head, right, there's a point to the, remains calmer sort of wins points with the public. It's like, there, see the unhinged left, look at Whoopi going crazy, kicking her out, and she sort of stayed calm, smiley the whole time. She basically fed, what is your opinion on that?
Well, first of all, Jeanine had this carefully orchestrated. I'll start with that.
Yeah.
I do wish Whoopi had not lost her cool the way that she did, but it's like you go to someone's house and you act up at someone's house, so I don't blame her for losing it.
Yeah, it's like she was disrustful on her turf, is your feeling.
I'm glad Whoopi blasted her. I'm glad she lost her. I'm glad she lost her cool. You know, I don't want to get political.
We don't want to get political. We'll bring it back around.
Does Jeanine even believe what she just read? What about all the vitriol directed at President Obama? Like, this is ridiculous.
I think that Judge Pirro is basically gunning for Jeff Sessions' job.
Well, they asked her about that.
Yeah, they did ask her about it, and she was like, you could see she was
I've known the president for 30 years. We've talked a lot about things. She will not get confirmed, by the way. Go ahead.
No, I just think to sort of like move on to the next topic, that I personally think that you guys are right now. You brought up a point that I didn't see, that she was strategic. She wanted to push her book, and she did. She thanked Whoopi, and she also said she'd come back to The View. So it's all after 5 vitriolic articles on page 6 where both sides leaked their version of the story. But moving on. But we certainly enjoyed it. Lots to write about and lots of page views for stories like this, right? Okay. So moving on next. Okay. So what was going on this week? Now, I can't remember a recent week. Now, obviously, we've been in these these Me Too movement times of people being suspended and fired, but this was like a most recent memory where I can't remember in the same week 2 very big high profile day after another. So. To tell viewers, Thursday, James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, very huge in the film industry and also with the fanboy crowd coming into ComicCon weekend, was fired by Disney Marvel. They severed the relationship after old tweets, offensive tweets were found, okay? I want to ask, starting off, Anita, do you think Disney Marvel was justified in this firing?
This is a tough one because the tweets were they were almost a decade old.
Yeah.
They were uncovered by a conservative activist who was basically out to silence Hollywood liberals who disagree with President Trump.
Yes.
I think ABC acted very quickly, a little too harshly, and now there's backlash. There's a change.org petition to get Gunn reinstated, and a lot of Hollywood insiders are coming out and saying this is wrong.
Mark, what do you think?
I think the idea that these tweets were from a decade ago, he was sort of kind of like the struggling writer, comedian guy, and he's spoken about in the past that I've used to say stuff that I know were not right, that they provoked. This isn't like he hid from these things.
No.
And they were in poor taste, but a lot of it's not what you don't hear on Howard. You hear it on Howard Stern.
Do you think he just should have used the Joy Reid strategy? I was hacked a decade ago.
I don't think
Maybe
that would have
I
worked.
was hacked.
I don't think it would have worked. But my question is, why were they still out there?
Well, I mean, even if you delete a tweet, they're still there. You can still find them. They're still in caches.
Well, that's more the conversation that I wanted to have about this with both of you. Is that, do you think we are now have we reached a level of insanity where I get it. Me Too was a thing that needed to happen. Time's Up is a thing that needed to happen. But are we living in such culturally sensitive times that now 10-year-old tweets can get a person fired? Like, it seems like there's no middle step. What do you think?
I think it's not black and white. I think it's very gray. I mean, I know we're going to talk about ComicCon in a little bit, but I'm watching a trailer for the new Fantastic Beasts, and there is Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of controversy. Should they keep him in the movie after all of those Amber Heard allegations? So you have that, but he gets to stay in this gazillion-dollar movie. But James Gunn has these decades-old tweets that didn't allegations of physically hurting someone.
Yeah.
And he's been fired. So I just think each case has been different. It hasn't been consistent.
No, that's
it's you have Harvey Weinstein. Obviously, he's been taken down. He'll probably spend the rest of his life in jail. But then you have Hollywood still working with Roman Polanski.
Exactly.
True.
The standards, that's the thing where I said, was that the episode that you were on where we talked about how Time's Up, we felt like to a certain degree has lost its way because it was sort of like in everyone's face. In my view, I thought it was going to become sort of like this governing sort of body that would help police all this, because every time I now hear the words which we're going to get to the next firing, internal investigation, and I cringe. It's like it shouldn't even be. To me it's criminal to do an internal investigate. Like, I feel that when these companies are doing investigations, the higher ups have already decided how they want that to play out. Or we know what kind of. I mean, am I wrong on that? Am I just being cynical?
Well, first of all, I think we need to factor in they produce family-friendly content, and
Yes.
the tweets were offensive.
Yeah.
They were about pedophilia and rape.
Yeah.
Again, I do think Disney acted abruptly. They fired him too quickly.
Yeah.
And perhaps they should not have fired him. But, the tweets, they were in a hard place. So I understand that.
As of recently,
But also Disney is the same company that went and hired Roseanne.
Exactly. So can we all agree it's the inconsistency of it?
And I don't think it's an inconsistency that's a strategic inconsistency. I just think each case has just been treated differently, and I don't think like you were talking about a governing body. This is a tough one to have a governing body on this.
Yeah.
There are clear cases of when something is wrong and something is illegal.
Exactly.
It's a matter of like, okay, in that internal investigation, it's all depending on who's doing the investigation. Like what you said, if they've decided they really want this person gone or to stay, that's what they're going to decide.
It's true, but I don't ever recall Roseanne joking about rape, so I'll just put that out there.
But the Holocaust.
Well, in James Gunn, you both read, obviously, we all read his response. I did think it was eloquent, laid out in like, it felt to me authentic. Like, I know I was kind of a screw up and crazy back in the day. But, when you think about Hollywood creative types and just think about the kind of brain to make the movies that he makes and I mean, there's all a certain level of like, we're not all upstairs like certain, to do those kinds of films and have that, exactly.
And there's
That's
something
a better word.
and there's something to be said about growing up and maturing.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see, I don't know, I didn't do tweets like that, but things that I did in my younger life, it's not me now.
Yeah.
But we see time and time again, we see people losing their jobs for things they write on social media. So I wonder, like, do people have friends, insiders that they can talk to? Why does everyone have to put all their business on social media?
I know. Well, then Mackenzie, you as being the youngest here on the panel by a few years. No, I'm joking. You've grown up in a sort of culture that this is the norm. So what is your opinion on that? It's just sort of like that everything's out on social media. People can be like, give me your opinion on that from.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely grew up where this was, since I was young and in elementary school, everybody was on social media. I mean, for me, me and my friends will do group Instagram chats that are private, and we'll send, this Hollywood star or this actress or this, and we'll kind of comment it on privately. So many people are just so used to putting it in the comment box and tagging people and then writing these nasty things. So everything's out there. But as far as the tweeting, I mean, it's just so prevalent nowadays. I don't even, it's just the norm, and it's sad.
Are you cognizant, though, like coming into the workforce the first time of like your, because that is, by the way, kids, any younger people aspiring to be in Hollywood, we all, as a hiring manager, we all look at your social media. You get the resume, and the first thing you're doing is you're looking up before you even waste any more time into the person, like Twitter, Facebook, and then if you don't even have social media, that's already like, okay, bye.
Just watch what you say on social media.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Anyway, thank you for weighing in there. Okay, so the next firing. This one was shocking to me. Okay, so I'm going to get in the weeds here because a little bit for Paramount TV president Amy Powell. This is much more like an industry-centric story than a broader but obviously to give viewers, Amy Powell oversees all of Paramount television shows, and this week they are working on a First Wives Club reboot. And she was shockingly, on Thursday, a memo came out from Jim Giannopoulos, who runs all of the studio, that she was fired, that they terminated her. She had just taken this role over like 5 years ago, and she had been at Paramount like 14 or 15 years for what they described as racially charged comments during a production notes call for the First Wives Club reboot, which is being actually co-written by Tracy Oliver, that wrote Girls Trip. Okay, so I want to just ask. She vehemently denies it. The allegations. Mark, what do you think?
I think it's a tough one. I think, when you hear Jim release a statement that says, we did an investigation over several days, boom, gone.
Yeah.
Either I'm like, what did she do that was so bad that it only took us several days to figure it out?
Yes.
Or did they want her out?
Exactly. Anita, in all the facts that you read in the story and all the reporting collectively, what do you think?
The immediate thing that came to my mind was they wanted to get rid of her.
Yes.
I was like, what did she say that was so offensive? And then we heard that she was on a conference call and she may have allegedly made a comment about angry black women. And this was in response to a tweet from Tracy Oliver, who had a bad day, was upset with some things that were going on with her show. She's a showrunner.
Yes.
And she took to Twitter and talked about where's the Me Too for, quote, race, S-H-I-T. So again, we come back to why are people putting everything on social media? Amy Powell brought this up in a meeting. Whatever she said, people say was inappropriate. But again, for her to be fired from a top tier position over that, and later it came out that she was not popular at Paramount. She was, quote, aggressive, which is a phrase that they use about female executives often, but you never hear them saying this about men. Right. So that's a major problem that I have.
Yeah.
She was a holdover from Brad Gray's administration. He was a former head of Paramount. He died last year.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot more at play. And
politically, behind the scenes.
I don't think she's going to go quietly.
And because, she said she's not going
quietly.
She said, I will be vindicated.
Yes. That's the thing where I have known of Amy Powell through the industry circles, and it's to me like when this one sort of thing happens, and you're like, she has a body of a career where.
But and that's what I was saying. I was like,
you're like,
she have a? Is this a consistent behavior that she's been doing in sensitive thing? It literally just sounds like it's just this one thing, and I'm not excusing it.
I'm not excusing it either.
But is that a reason to just get rid of someone who's been quite successful? I mean, there's a woman who's bringing, George Clooney back to television.
Exactly.
Which is pretty major.
And the thing about this whole situation was, I felt like it's like you're already make this like Jim or whoever makes the call on like who if they wanted her out. You're already building in your mind, and I felt like she did something that they're like, we got it. Now we got our exit. It was basically like, because they have their contracts are all written in a way that you can't get rid of people so easy, but then
you need a moral.
They're like, oh, she just pitched us one,
Yeah.
I think it was more like, but in that situation, it's just kind of like negotiate her out and just buy her out. Like if that was the case, she's not going to go quietly, and I don't think she should, because for her to say she's vehemently denying it, she's going to fight. So it's like she wouldn't have gone out there. She's like, the facts will vindicate me. I have to, though, say one thing, because Mark, you brought it up. You said unless there was a pattern. You know what immediately came to mind was the Sony hack with the Amy Pascal and internal, remember there was offensive emails about Obama, and it had these, I think, again, Hollywood for a long time being run by predominantly white men, straight men, and then women came into, but also, you know, straight women. We're just at a point where it's like getting diverse of who ran it. I think there could have been a certain level of like that was acceptable before, and people make jokes like that. We don't know what her history is, and I'm not going to make any assumptions about it. But I did think Amy Pascal with that Obama email, remember? Because that.
Yeah.
I thought the Kevin Hart comments were worse.
Yes.
You know, he's a WHORE because he wanted to be paid to promote his films on his social media platforms. I mean, I'm just going to say two things about this. You and I have both been in management.
Yes.
We know that when you want to get rid of someone, you start making a list and checking it twice.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's what happened.
No, I agree. Having been in the situation with a studio that shall remain nameless, that happens. I've been there. So it's just like they've already made the decision. Now they're just waiting for you to do something that they can actually solidify the decision.
Exactly. And in newsrooms, you know, some wild stuff is said. Now, I don't know about a conference call, but you know, the language can be raw.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing. It's, you know, again, you go back to this, we're talking about a creative community, things are being said.
Yes.
And when does it cross over to the point where you get fired?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that when you worked in Hollywood for a longer time, like these veterans, we were used to, and we came up at a time where it's like, you're used to being able to, you feel like you're in a trusted space. It's creative, you're making, even with the Netflix firing that had happened a couple weeks ago, not to say that guy was like, he was a repeat offender.
He was unhinged.
He was unhinged. Anyway. I think we've all made good points, and you actually gave me a good segue to go in. Speaking of Unhinged, Roseanne Barr's back, everybody. She's not going away anytime soon, and not going away quietly. But, okay, let's just run this video really fast, and then we will talk.
Hello, hello.
Give me a level.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Okay.
Oh, you said I'm in 3 outfits.
Well, here's the problem. Like, imagine.
Are you filming?
Yeah. Yes. Imagine a presidential address, like you're busted with killing a hooker, like whatever, right?
What?
Just no. Hear me out. And they say tonight the president's gonna give his address, and then the camera fades out, and it's fucking the president on his desk in the Oval Office, and he's like, "I did not have sex with that hooker," right? Imagine in his statement to keep and save his job, there were jump cuts, multiple outfits.
I'm trying to talk about Iran. I'm trying to talk about Valerie Jarrett wrote the Iran deal.
I know, but you've told me this 300 times. Do you know that
That's what my tweet was about.
I know. You've explained this literally 300 times.
I thought the bitch was white. God damn it! I thought the bitch was white. Fuck.
Whew. Okay, coming back in from that. Okay, so I just want to start with this question. Has this reached like Charlie Sheen, Tiger Blood winning status now with this? Because I am trying to rack my brain to understand. It's on her YouTube page. So either this is some really strategic strategy that we're not knowing what they're trying to do here, like paint her as like broken down crazy to like get sympathy. Oh, she's mentally ill to like, who knows? What do you think?
I think either one of two things are happening.
Yeah.
She is completely out of control, and the people in her life need to do an intervention.
Yes.
Either that or this was staged. And I'm going to go with staged because the gentleman who was in the background was laughing. He was chuckling when she was making these outrageous comments. This was so highly offensive.
Yes.
And I feel bad for Valerie Jarrett. Why the heck is Roseanne obsessed with Valerie Jarrett? It's ridiculous.
Why is she obsessed with half the things she tweets about? Mark, what do you think? Is this literally a mentally ill women unraveling before our eyes on YouTube, or is this like a very strategic, well-laid plan?
I actually think it's both.
Okay.
I think she does have a history of mental illness that I don't think is a secret, that I don't think most people deny who were part of her life. So you take that and then double that with someone's trying to dig herself out of this hole that she really put herself in. This could be strategic. What I'm very curious about is what the heck was the guy talking about? I don't.
Oh,
I was so
to give you just a little, he
confused.
was talking about that pretend you're making a presidential address, like looking straight to camera, apologizing for being caught with like a hooker, which was probably like a slight to say like it wasn't Trump because she's a Trump supporter, but probably Bill Clinton.
But what
you know.
producer was this? Like what? I don't.
It's either that's what the question is. Like it's probably is this one of her yes people then?
Yes.
like one of
producer
our
payroll.
friends.
Yes.
Like so. I mean, when she's sitting there smoking the cigarette and and she just starts screaming, and then someone said at the end, "We got it. Let's post it."
Yeah.
That's where it gets really weird, and that's
Really
where it
weird.
gets like strategic.
It's totally bizarre, but guess what? It makes us talk about her. We'll still be talking about her.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true,
just-
but we're talking about her, but who's benefiting? I mean, is she? I don't think so.
I don't think she is, unless, like I said, she could have some like really strategic like fixer right now that's telling her, go on,
I don't
look
believe
really.
No.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
What fixer would recommend that outlandish behavior?
Yeah.
Certainly not Olivia Pope, I'll tell you that much. Okay, moving on. We know what we're praying for you, Roseanne. We really are.
But we do like the headlines.
We do like the headlines. Unhinged, bizarre. I mean, and just the screenshots alone that people. Anyway, moving on. ComicCon. We just want to talk a little bit as quickly as possible, because as you can tell, I really love ComicCon. I've managed 20 years of my career to never go.
You know what? I've been to Comic-Con many times. I've always enjoyed it. Maybe I'm weird.
Have you really?
Yeah. I mean, that said, I'm not dressed like, a Teletubby running around a Hall H, trying to get a picture with a, Princess Leia drag queen.
Yeah.
But I've always enjoyed it. That said, when I was there, I was in a suite and I was doing interviews for E! So I wasn't in the craziness
So
of it.
you got that's like a VIP Comic-Con.
I wouldn't call it VIP.
Yeah.
But
okay, so you weren't brave in like smelly Hall H.
I
or
did go to
anything
Hall
like
H,
that.
I'm telling you. And I took
Okay.
many pictures of people in very bizarre cosplay of characters that I've never heard of.
God bless people who love it, but I couldn't imagine. I'd rather get a root canal without Novocaine than go. But anyway, let's talk about, though, this is what was interesting to me. Coming off the 2 weeks where all of this controversy over the Scarlett Johansson trans casting, I found it interesting that I don't remember a time during Comic-Con where there was so much emphasis on these diversity castings. And I don't know if that's just, and I want to ask you, Mark, start this. Is that just because we're in a place in Hollywood where we're white diversifying, or was this almost, it felt contrived coming off the week after Scarlett, then it's like, Supergirl's cast?
No,
Okay.
I don't think it's contrived in that sense because, first of all, this casting has probably been in the works before the Scarlett news broke.
Okay.
I do, like what you said, I do think there is a call for diversity in Hollywood. And I think there are people who are stepping up to the plate. The people like the Greg Berlantes of the world are stepping up to the plate and saying, we need diversity. And part of that diversity is, gender representation and diversity. And I think, it does seem like, there was the Laverne Cox Time Magazine, the trans tipping point.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was the tipping point. I think we're still in it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's amazing what they've done. It is coincidental. I think it all happens sort of around the same thing.
Because it was in the works. And for the audience, because I kind of backed into that, I apologize. But Supergirl from Greg Berlanti cast the first ever trans superhero. And so she's an activist, I believe.
Yeah, she's an activist. What's amazing about her is a few years ago she sued her school because her school was saying that she had to use the staff bathroom rather than the girls' bathroom. And she went to courts, and the courts ruled in her favor and found that there was discrimination going on.
Got it.
So there's someone who's coming in with sort of this activism background, and now she's
Good thing she
superhero.
sued them before Betsy DeVos was in charge of schools.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I thought we're not talking politics.
No politics. The other story, though, that also hit me was that the Buffy reboot they dropped during Comic-Con. Okay, but they're doing it with a black Buffy this time. Okay, what is your feeling on that? Did you watch the first series first of
I
all?
didn't watch the first
What's your
series,
feeling?
and I'm not a Comic-Con person. I'm not a cosplayer or
Yeah.
whatever. I think diversity.
You don't dress up as Game of Thrones on the weekend?
No, but I think
I have some photos from your old Twitter.
No, you don't. We're living in times where there is an emphasis on diversity. Look, this country is diverse,
Yes.
okay? And shows with diverse casts are killing it.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I don't watch shows like Friends where I don't see people who look like me. So I'm embracing the diversity that Hollywood is bringing to the table.
Yeah, I agree.
I just don't want everything to be the black version of, the gay version of. I want like some originality. You know?
Thank
True,
you.
but one black character on a show is not the black version.
No,
Right,
and
right.
that's just
Yeah.
like, I absolutely adore like the show Younger, but it was like 5 seasons in before they brought like an African American to the cast, which I'd actually asked about when I did like a panel, but that's digressing. But hold on, I want to make one point here, because Buffy, it's what you just said, Mark. This may be an unpopular opinion to also say, but like, they're diversifying, but are they doing it the right way? In a lot of cases, I don't think so, because it's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer with Sarah Michelle Gellar. Was that audience even got like, they're like, oh, we're gonna do a African American Buffy? Is it even like an appealing show for an urban audience? Like, is that what they want to watch? To me, it feels weird to me.
Well, I think they're going to retool the whole thing and make it for today's audience. So
Okay.
you know, I don't think they're just going to take you know this. They're not just going to take the old scripts and just say,
And
okay,
just-
here's
yeah.
a black Buffy, you say those
Yeah.
lines. So I think they're going to make it. You know, they're going to make it different. You know, listen, there are shows like the reboot of Dynasty.
You don't like? I like it actually. but
I'm
yeah.
original
You're-
Dynasty
I'm
queen.
original too.
Like you know, don't.
We'll have
you
a
know,
side note
do
about
not
that.
Mess with
I'll
Dynasty.
convince you into that. No, okay.
No, I don't know if it's necessarily for the African American audience. I mean, I don't know a soul who watched Buffy.
I think to me it was the thinking maybe like off the success of Black Panther, because that's the only thing I could put to, because I'm just thinking like, I feel like One Day at a Time on Netflix was an example where they did have success in that they changed it, they made it like Latin version of it. But there's so many where you read like for instance, The First Wives Club. To me, it's not a reboot. It's like not a reboot of The First Wives Club if it's now an all African American version. Why don't you just do a new show that's like, these women were married.
Let's look at One Day at a Time with the Latino cast.
Right.
I don't know why they're doing this. I'm assuming that these shows are making money, and that they're bringing in an audience. I haven't seen the reboot at One Day at a Time, but
It's really good.
It's
I
funny.
really like it.
yeah,
It's funny.
But
Yeah.
they have to be making money off these shows, and people have to be watching, or they wouldn't keep doing it.
But we don't know, because Netflix and Amazon.
Yeah, they don't tell us.
They don't
that's
tell
true.
us.
That's true.
It's so interesting to me, because I feel like Netflix is sort of in this spot where there's the shows that do make the money, and then they disperse the other shows to do sort of like, well, we kind of need to do this show over there.
But if a show is doing miserably, Netflix will cancel it.
Okay. Any other standouts? Because you're more of a film guy,
I
Mark,
mean,
like
listen,
from Comic-Con,
I mean, there was
highlights, lowlights.
I mean, there's the Aquaman trailer.
Okay.
And listen, I'm very excited about Aquaman because
Yeah.
I think Jason Momoa could do no wrong because I just want to stare at him all day.
Yeah.
But it has Oscar winner Nicole Kidman
Yes.
playing his mother, and
Okay.
the trailer does not say
Wait,
with
Nicole Kidman's playing Jason Momoa's mother.
We're talking about the superhero world. Like, don't try to think of
don't
reality.
overthink it.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't overthink it. And then you have Amber Heard in a wig that is just the most bizarre color. They at one point Aquaman called her a redhead. I'm like, it's not really red,
Oh
and
my
it's just an ugly wig. But I'm still looking forward to it.
Okay.
Then there's Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah.
Which is a whole big thing because Chris Pine's character. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Wonder Woman, he dies at the end.
Yes.
But he's going to be in this 1984 version, apparently. Now, my question is like, Wonder Woman going to have shoulder pads and scrunchies and, like, be doing aerobics?
Is it going to be Gal Gadot?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Patty Jenkins.
She was
yeah.
there. Her
She was
dress
there.
made headlines with the fringe.
With the purple fringe, yeah.
This is great.
Um,
Okay.
And then I do have to talk about Shazam.
Yeah.
Which I remember, like, when I was little, watching a Shazam cartoon. And
Yeah.
Zachary Levi's playing Shazam. And the other day, they released the first photos of it. I'm like, is this something on Comedy Central?
Yeah, no.
I thought it was like a spoof.
Okay, thank
superhero
you. That
thing.
cover, I thought the same thing. Like
Right.
everyone, like he retweeted it and he was like, "Hey," and they were doing some cute thing where like the day before he sort of like it was like a pre-tweet
Yeah.
before the big tweet, and I looked at the cover and I went, I thought it was a joke. I was
thought
like,
it-
is this really what the character looks like? And I was
Right.
just, and
So
I like
then
Zachary Levi, but I was like, what is this?
And I watched the trailer, and it's
Okay.
DC's version of trying to be Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just funny, silly,
No one can be original.
very self-aware. Well, but that's been DC's problem.
My
DC's
God.
problem has been
I
so
won't be
serious
going to
and
see
dark.
any of this.
Me
so,
neither.
yeah.
Hey,
Also,
Black Panther
I'm
is like the
Aquaman.
only superhero movie I went to a theater to see. Every other superhero movie I was dragged to watch in a house, but it was like not my thing. God bless people
I
that
will
love
say
them.
it's my thing. My husband loves them. I do love going. Not all of them are great.
Yeah.
But I'll go see them. I like to see what they're going to do. And the Aquaman thing, I just like Jason Momoa's hair flowing in the water.
Do you like superhero movies?
I saw Wonder Woman
Mackenzie?
in theaters and I loved it. I also saw the latest Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Where it was a younger version
Tom
of him.
Holland.
It
I
was
do like Tom
so-
Holland as Spider-Man. Yeah.
I love them. Iron Man, I'm such a fan. My family is such a fan, so.
Good. Okay, so does that about wrap up Comic-Con? Anything else standing out? I mean, there's obviously news every 5 minutes in my
kind
inbox.
of news, but news like in the sense of like, here's a trailer, here's a trailer, here's a trailer.
Yeah. So then, you know what? Let's move on to a great topic that we all love to, or actually, just before we move to that, anything else just in Hollywood? Because I know you wrote a great article about like Denzel with the box office, right?
Yeah, Denzel. I mean, Denzel is killing it. What more can I say? His
Literally,
movie,
an Equalizer. Have you seen Equalizer
I saw
2?
Equalizer 2. It was extremely violent. I had to cover my eyes for
Yeah.
parts of it. But this movie surpassed expectations. The reviews were lukewarm. Critics, I think one critic called it violence porn.
Yeah.
But Denzel has this fan base that comes out for his movies. And it's such a change from last weekend with The Rock's movie Skyscraper not meeting expectations and struggling.
I know.
But, Denzel, he's not always in the headlines. He's not on social media. We
Yeah.
see Denzel when he has a movie. And he doesn't make a whole lot of movies. I think The Rock has made like 5 action movies in the past 18 months. I'm not
in the past week.
I'm not
Yes.
knocking The Rock, but I'm just saying there's the difference. And so Equalizer 2 beat Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, which all analysts expected it to like kill. And it did. They both did very well.
well.
But Denzel really killed it.
So with the Mamma Mia, because did you see it?
Mamma Mia. No.
No, you didn't see the sequel
Here We Go
either.
Again.
Oh, the first one I saw, but not, I haven't
But
seen
not the sequel.
Right.
It was interesting because when everyone came back from London doing the press junket, they were all speaking highly of it. But then I remember reading like pre-articles before that it was like going to be the worst sequel ever. But I guess it kind of is like one of those things where the industry buzzed
Yeah,
before.
it's weird mixed reviews, but I think
Yeah.
The Equalizer 2, it's like, to me, like, I have fun with those movies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's really graphic, it's really violent. But Denzel he's playing Denzel beating the crap out of people. I mean, that's literally,
I'm looking
you
forward
really
to
feel
it.
like it's
And
Denzel.
The fact that he's a Lyft driver in the movie, I mean, how
It's great.
unbelievable
But
is
here's
that?
the best. I went to the premiere. I covered the premiere for Hollywood Reporter, and I said to him, do you get a discount to Lyft now? And he's like, I don't take Lyft. He's like, why would I take a Lyft? I have my own car. I don't drink. And I was just like, okay, Lyft is pissed now.
Yes.
Like, and they branded that, like, you saw the logo, how much in the movie.
Yeah.
Then even at the party at the premiere, the DJ booth was branded Lyft. I mean, and even when the premiere, going to the premiere, you got a coupon for 25% off to go back and forth. I want to know how, literally I tweeted, how much did Lyft pay for this branding?
Well, and another problem too was Ashton. I can't remember his last name, the young man from Moonlight who is in the movie. So I read your article, and he said, "Oh yeah, I use rideshare all the time, but not Lyft. I use Uber."
Yeah,
And
he
I'm
said
like,
Uber's my, and I was even shocked when he said that. I was like, Lyft's like sponsoring this movie.
Lyft
Like,
paid a lot
yeah.
of money for
But-
this.
Oh my God, that's funny. Now he'll have to
all
make
side
good.
note.
Is he on? They'll figure out a way for him to
it
make
had
good.
a compelling storyline,
Yeah.
and I thought it was better than the original Equalizer. So kudos to Denzel, Antoine Fuqua, the
Although
director.
the original Equalizer had the corkscrew killing moment.
Well,
And I
it
love
did,
the
but it was
corkscrew killing moment.
it was so
I love that.
ridiculous.
So
I mean,
ridiculous.
Really quickly to wrap us up, in our segment we call Overheard Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Each of you, 30 seconds to a minute, give us something the audience would be interested in knowing you're working on or something you've heard, anything.
okay, in the past week on Urban Hollywood 401, I broke a story that Divorce Court has left LA after 19 years. Now, it had been out there that the show left for Atlanta. I saw it on social media, but I reached out to the showrunner, and she did an interview with me and said they did it because Georgia offered incentives.
Yeah.
But my question is, after she revealed to me that she said quote, there's a shortage of talent in Atlanta, okay, directors, producers.
Yeah.
So they ended up bringing all the senior staff to Atlanta. So are you really saving money?
Because all the relocation fees.
And is there really that lack of talent? Atlanta's such like a little
Yeah,
hub
it feels like a
of
little hub
activity.
right now.
But she explained to me, and I talked to two people on background who were offered jobs on the show, one in New York, one in LA. They didn't want to go. But they said, all three of them said, a lot of production is done in Georgia and Louisiana. But the crew members are usually from LA and New York. They go, they stay temporarily, and then they go home. So these people are not like building up this big base of talent in Georgia.
Got it. Check out that story on Anita's blog again, Urban Hollywood 411. Mark?
Tomorrow night I'm going to see Mission Impossible, the new Mission Impossible.
Oh, everyone's raving about it.
And I've been working on the story for Architectural Digest, which is basically like breaking down. I've watched all 5 the other day.
Yeah.
Breaking down every location in Mission Impossible, and is it the real location, and what location subbed for the location?
That's cool. Will it be online or just the magazine?
Online.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
So and we'll look for that this week?
This week, the end of the week.
Great.
But I can't wait to see this. Everyone's like going crazy, and literally watching the first 5 in a matter of a week, you really saw how good they are and how bad they can be.
I can't wait to see it. Tom Cruise and Angela Bassett winning combination.
I want to see Henry Cavill personally, but that's just
with the mustache.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you, Mark, for joining us. And Mackenzie, you want to tell everybody where they can find the show?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can watch us on AfterBuzzTV/YouTube. Subscribe to MTHP on Apple Podcasts. Rate it. Give us a review. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Meet the Hollywood Press, and on Twitter at Meet the HWD Press.
Perfect. Thank you. Join us next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.